Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Firefighter Varnum here at Station 35 in our saw shop. And I just want to go over pretty much the latest and greatest of our chainsaws, the different types of saws you're going to see out there, the newer technology, also the different bar and chain complements that we currently have out in the field, go over the different startup procedures on our chainsaws, how to request service, how to request chain, and kind of our operation here at Station 35. Let's talk about bars first. So right here, this is a 20-inch bar. It's 3/8 pitch, and it's 050 gauge. The 3/8 pitch is the distance between the two drivers. And that correlates with the sprocket up here. The gauge is basically the width of the driver, which also correlates to the width of the valley in the bar. In the field, we're used to calling stuff either 3/8 or 404. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it, and we're adding another bar, and that's why we're going over all this, to make sure that people don't get confused. So right here, this is a setup for a 20-inch 3/8 050 gauge bar. This is what you'll find on the brush rigs. This is what our hand crew uses. This is your typical brush chain. We've kind of termed it chipper chain. Really, it's semi-chisel or chisel chain, but this is for tree falling, cutting brush. This is what you'll find on the brush rigs, okay? This is what we've always run on our support companies. This is our Rapco Terminator chain. It's got the carbide tooth. It's 404 pitch, and it's 063 gauge, meaning the thickness of the driver. So you can see right away the difference in the sprocket size. And it's kind of hard to tell, but you can tell it's definitely a wider bar. So we've kind of simplified it down to just two sizes. Well, where it can get confusing is the sprockets, right? So when we're switching over from brush chain to our structural firefighting chain, our Rapco term chain, sometimes people mix up the sprockets. So to do that, you can't really mix up the chain on the bar, because you'll notice right away it won't fit in. But sometimes the sprocket, it'll go on the saw, but it won't run right. So you want to make sure that you have the right sprocket right here, 3/8 sprocket. That's the biggest thing. This is our new chain that we're going to be moving to, and some of our support companies already have it. It's called Rapid Duro Rescue. It's made by Stihl. It's got the carbide tooth, but it runs the entire length of the tooth rather than just the tip, like the Rapco. It's made out of a tungsten cobalt carbide, and we've tested it out, and some guys have had a few fires with it, and they're very happy with it. It cuts a lot better. It holds up a lot better. With these, usually you'll see the teeth get blown off because they're soldered on, so for whatever reason, they don't hold up that well. These seem to hold up a lot better. We're very happy with this chain. It's a little bit more expensive, but it seems to hold up. Also, on support companies, you'll see a lot of the time that we'll run this 404 bar with a 404 size semi-chisel, chisel, chipper chain. We've tested it out on wood material, and this seems to cut a lot better with wood material than the Rapco term. So instead of switching out, if you just have to cut a tree across a road or just minimal wood material to cut, this will actually do it. So instead of changing chains, we kind of just went to this. We're very happy with it. But the reason, again, that we're going over this is because this is a whole new bar and chain. What it is it's 3/8, so it's using, just like this, the 3/8 sprocket, but the gauge is the same gauge as this bar. So it's a 063 gauge. So it's important to know what chain you're using, what bar you're using, and what sprocket you're using. And to do that, you just have to know that this is 3/8, this is 404, and make sure that your 3/8 sprocket, even though these are different bars and different chains, it's still the same 3/8 sprocket. There's only two sprockets but there's 3 different bars. So our goal is to clean this all up and eventually get to everything being this 3/8 063 bar and have chain. We'll have this still Rapid Duro Rescue chain. And then next fiscal year, when we have more money in the budget, I want to buy semi-chisel chain that you can just put on this bar, so that if you're gonna go do some more extensive bucking, or you need to cut some brush or whatever you need to do, instead of swapping complete bars, all you do is just swap the chain. So that's the goal. But not to get too much into the weeds on all this stuff, and it's a lot of numbers and it can get kind of confusing. The biggest thing is just make sure you have the right bar, the right sprocket, and the right chain. And it's all right here. And it's, like I said, it's really hard to mix the wrong chain with the wrong bar, because you'll put it on and the sprockets, you'll just see it won't line up. The problem is if you use the wrong sprocket, when you put the saw together, it may seem like it fits and it works, but if you fire it up, you're gonna notice right away that it's not running right. And you don't wanna set up a saw for the person that's using it next and have it be the wrong sprocket. Okay, so the reason we're not swapping everyone at once to this new chain is because it's very expensive. Like I said, it's about 300 bucks a chain. This is about 230 bucks a chain, still expensive. But if we swapped everyone over, one, it would be a giant expense just to buy this stuff, but two, we have a lot of this stuff still out there that's in good condition. It works, and we can't just throw it away. So I've swapped over some support companies to this new chain. Like I said, that they're very happy with it, but it'll probably take a year or two, maybe 3, to get everyone transferred over, and that's the goal. But we need to run through all this stuff that we have out there currently. So that's the plan. So if you're one of the support companies or your station, you have this chain, hopefully you know that you do. And just know that for the other support companies that are still running the Rapco term chain, this stuff is eventually coming. It's all in the plan. It's just with the budget and money, we're gonna try and do our best to get it out there as fast as we can. So we've gone to all 462s, still no longer makes the 460s, the 461s that we've had for years. So we've gone to the new 462s. So these are both 462s. What's the difference? And why do we have different ones? So this is, right here you can see, this is the MS462. This is the MS462C. So we have a combination of these spread out through all the support companies. Supply, demand issues, been really hard to get exactly what we want, but they're both great saws. So we're basically getting what we can when we can. So this 462 has an adjustable carburetor, right? The startup procedure is the same as we're used to. It's got a full choke all the way down. Pull it till it pops, then you're gonna go up to half choke. Start it, it's gonna be in the run, the bar's gonna be moving, and you just click it to send it into idle. So that's the normal operating procedure that we're all used to, that's been around for a long time. So with this 462C, it's got an electronically controlled carburetor. So there's no adjustment right here for the carburetor. It's all adjusted electronically. There's no half choke or full choke option. It's just a triangle, and it's basically a hot start. So this electronic carburetor controls through a solenoid. It senses temperature, it senses speed, it senses a bunch of stuff to send the appropriate amount of fuel to the engine. So it doesn't need a choke. So all it is, start on triangle, you're gonna fire it up, and it's gonna be running just like this, but instead of sending it in the half choke, all you're gonna do is just click the throttle, and it's gonna send it into your idle mode. This is a 500i, and this is an electronically fuel injected chainsaw. It has no carburetor. We have 2 on truck 35 that we're demoing. We've converted it to a structure saw. You'll notice there is no toggle. All we have is a priming bolt and a kill switch. So to start this chainsaw, the manufacturer recommends pushing the priming bulb, they say 8 times, but pretty much when we start this thing, it's just pull and go. Give it a few pulls. If you're not getting any pop, maybe hit this a couple times, just prime it, keep pulling, and this thing will fire right up. So it's pretty simple. And then just to shut it down, it's just the stop button. We're very happy with this saw. It's got really good response on it, obviously with the fuel injection. This is what we're hoping to move to. Very easy. We have not been able to flood it yet. So it's a great saw. This is the Milwaukee M18 fuel chainsaw. It's operated by a 12.0 Milwaukee battery, a 16-inch bar. There's gonna be a whole nother training video on this chainsaw specifically for the field, because every Type 1 engine is gonna be getting it. The batteries and the chain, they're not one-time use, but pretty much once they're dull, they're kind of like a Sawzall blade. Throw it away, get a new one. When requesting parts or service for this thing, it's minimal, and it's going to be through the annex. This saw, we have a full wrap handle. This saw, we have a half wrap. Again, the only reason for the difference is because of when and where we are able to get these saws. We are able to get half wraps bars for this saw if needed, for compartment space issues or whatever, or preference. There's really not a whole lot of advantage for us as far as roof operations goes for a full wrap, but they are nice when you need them. All right, so we're gonna go over requesting chain, requesting parts, requesting service on your saw, how to email us, how to do it. Let's start out with, we'll go over chain. So obviously this is familiar to everyone. The difference now is we have the two different chains, right? We have the Rapiduro rescue chain and the term chain, depending on what you have at your support company. One of the things I didn't go over with chain too is, back in the day we had A, B, and C chain. Then we just went to project chain and operational chain. We're gonna get away from all that. We're gonna just go with chain. And if you need to use this chain for training, use it. That's, we wanna practice how we play. If you haven't used the RDR chain and you wanna go train with it and see how it cuts, because one of the biggest things with this RDR chain over here to be aware of is, obviously, like we talked about, it's a little bit thinner in profile than the Rapco Terminator chain. And what guys have noticed is, and it cuts better too, and which is all great, but what guys have noticed is that it's a little bit harder to feel structural members. But when sending chain in to be replaced, this is what we want to see. If you have Terminator chain, wrap it up, single piece of tape, and write term on it. If it's the still RDR, wrap it up, RDR. So we're keeping it very simple. There's no more project chain. There's just Rapiduro rescue and term. But when sending it in, right here in our little hub, we have our saw repair email. It's sawrepair@ventura.org. When requesting chain, it looks something like this. This is from 27s. Sending you guys another RDR chain to be sharpened. One tooth needs to be replaced. Please brown mail ASAP. Thank you, Curl. Okay, so what he did was he wrapped up his RDR just like this, put it in the brown mail and sent it to us, followed up immediately with an email. If your first run saw goes out of service, most of the support companies, we've tried to give you guys a reserve saw at your station. If for some reason you do not have a reserve saw at your station, give us a call at 35s and we'll do whatever we gotta do to make that happen, get you a saw so you're in service. If your first run saw goes out of service, put your reserve in, send us an email, tell us what's wrong with it through the brown mail. It'll get to us. As far as saw repairs go, if you just need parts, just send us an email. Say you need these parts, we'll order the parts, send you the parts if it's not out of service. But if it's out of service and you need us to work on it, send us an email, send us the saw, and we'll get it back to you as soon as we can. One of the main reasons we wanted to do this video is obviously there's been a lot of changes in technology from saws to our new chain that we're eventually going to. But I just wanted to get it out there and have everyone be aware of the new changes. That way, everyone passes by a chainsaw, it's a chainsaw, whatever. No, if you're working a callback at the support company, go look at the saw and see what the startup procedure is, because they are different. And at night, for the first time starting up a saw, you want to be able to know exactly what the startup procedure for that saw is, so you can get it started proficiently and get to work. And as far as the chain goes, we just really want to make sure that people are aware of the differences. You look at all the specifications on the bars and just make sure that the chain fits right on the sprocket and you're using the right chain. Just wanted to get it all out there so that everyone is aware of what's going on and what's coming and what's new and the greatest and latest.
No.